welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. So glad you've joined us today as we equip, educate, empower, and elevate you to make a difference where you are. Let's get started. We're first going to open with global news. So much going on in the world today. We want to discuss what's happening in Sudan, however, the emergency response taking place because of the children that are being affected. According to many global resources, 6 months of conflict in Sudan have left around 14 million children in urgent need of life saving humanitarian support. A violence continues in the country, and that's around affecting around 5 million people and newly displaced within Sudan, including 2 million children. That's estimated 19 million children in the country that are out of school because of this conflict. Certainly, at the Power Up, our job is to elevate you in awareness so that we can be the ones to help make a difference. Even if it's just consciously making sure that we know what's going on. Sudan has brothers and sisters that are our neighbors and family members. But even before the conflict, humanitarian efforts around Sudan reached an all time high. Now, an already dire situation has left and reached catastrophic levels. They're in need of food, water, safe, clean water, electricity. Even the telecommunications is unreliable in Sudan. Can you imagine inaccessible and unaffordable means, food, and unsafe shelter? That's what the children and families in Sudan are facing. Places where children simply must be safe, like homes, schools, and hospitals, are overwhelmed, consistently coming under attack. How can you help? First, get educated. Go to unicef.org. They're a viable global communication resource, and they already have boots on the ground trying to provide aid. Remember, what if it was you? When you want someone coming to render in your moment of need and crisis. So we remember those in Sudan, in the children and those experiencing sexual violence by armed groups, displacement, long term dangers, and even being exposed to so many healthcare levels that are in crisis right now. UNICEF.org can educate you on more information and what's happening in the country of Sudan and how you can help. Remember, they might be in a different country, but they're still our brothers and sisters. We are one human race. UNICEF is advocating for safe passage for the children affected and their families trapped in this conflict. They're working to provide supplies, services, yeah, water, healthcare, vaccines, the basic necessities of life. And they have been on the ground there now, providing more than 5 million people with health supplies, 2 million people with safe drinking water, and 2 million children who were malnourished. They're working on malnourishment screenings. Family, there's a way you can assist, get educated, and then be empowered to share the information with those around you so that we can all make a difference together. Sudan is just as important a country, even though it might be across the waters, not necessarily next door to you, just as important as the country you sit in. And life saving efforts are needed, whether you personally provide them or maybe you monetarily provide them, or even again, elevating awareness so that folks around you understand how important it is that we come together. We appreciate the efforts of those from UNICEF and recommend once again that you consider going to unicef.org to get the updated information on global crises where they are currently doing all they can to go into dangerous territory and terrain to help others. See, your hands might be where they are, but your reach can be so big. Consider how you can tap into the resources that are around you to make a difference and how you can be a voice of change. Be a difference maker in your community, family. Knowledge is power. So now that you're aware of the conflict, what can you do to help? There is something, in fact, much. We don't live in limits. We do what we can to be difference makers. So go to unicef.org, be educated with all the global news that's going on. We extend our hearts, our thoughts, our prayers to those in Sudan and the family members around the world that are concerned about their loved ones. And we at the Power Up and the Power Up team continue to elevate awareness so that we can be the ones to empower a community to make a change. Family, that's our global news for this segment. Remember, you have the ability to make a difference. It's what you do, even tax write offs, that can help someone else. Stay tuned because we're going to go into an amazing interview as we continue to elevate awareness. There's more after this.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry Y. Hicks of the Amazing Fab Five, and I am here to tell you to tune into the Empowered Morning Show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the WIN Network.
This is Tami, host of The Power Up on the We Empowered Network. Join me every Friday at 12 noon as we discuss news, purpose, and perspective.
Welcome back to the Power Up. We're excited to have a special guest today, someone who is certainly a returning correspondent for us, a health advocate. Please welcome, if you will, Miss Carissa Riddle. Carissa brings to us a vast amount of knowledge as she is an advocate and a coach globally to help those who deal with mental health disorders, elevating an alarm on how important it is to remember that people matter. Do you know that globally, an estimated 5% of adults suffer from depression? So today, the Power Up team is going to elevate that this is Depression Awareness Month. Welcome, Cariska. Thank you for coming back today.
Thank you for having me, Tami.
We appreciate the fact that your voice on a global level matters, that your heart is exemplified, and that you're transparent with the many different stories you've shared. Tell us why it's so important to elevate depression during this season.
It's a great question, and it's important to elevate the issue of depression in every season. So I'm glad that there is a month and that there's an opportunity such as yours and this platform to get that word out. Depression can come from any event. It can come medically, even just as from chemical changes. It can come at any time of year. It can come when you think things are going great, and so you don't even understand why you're going through it. Post birth issues and so on. Depression can come masked in good and bad times, and it can have such traumatic consequences for you and for the ones that you love and care about you, that it's important to get the word out. So it's wonderful that there is a month dedicated to that. Um, I'll even just say, going into it, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, having Depression Awareness Month in advance of winter time, when people tend to shelter in and the days get darker and all of that, and seasonal related depression can happen, that it's good timing. Get out in front of it. So I think it's important to get the word out frequently, and have it become, as I said in our last conversation, normalized.
Thank you, Carissa, because the hearing that this is work that you do on a regular basis. This is, everybody does not deal in their mind and space with a disorder they can identify. So when individuals go through a screening or become aware of this type of disorder, normalizing it becomes a lot easier. Now, we're not talking about those who have judgment. They can keep their hate. But the fact that individuals have a space of need, tell us, if you will, because of your expertise in this area, like a lot of folks focus on physical health, social health, financial health. How important is it to remember emotional health?
It's a great perspective to think of health in those multidimensional ways. If they were all pieces of a pie, right? And we talk about health being the most important thing. Without your health, you have nothing. Well, your emotional and mental health is vital even to maintaining any of the other quadrants. For you to be fully engaged in your life, I would challenge anybody to say that when they were having a sad or bad or down day or window of time, that they focused fully on their career, on their mate, on their children, on the things that give them joy. They probably didn't. And that's what I mean about, if you don't focus on your emotional and mental health, none of those other things are easy. They're certainly facilitated by having that as a strong foundation. All those other things can affect your mental and emotional health. But at that base of the pyramid, that's what holds everything else up, in my opinion. And again, not a mental health expert, just an advocate and someone who's got some life experience. But at least in my opinion, if the emotional well-being isn't there, if your mental health isn't there, and we're talking about depression, which isn't just feeling sad now and then. Depression is about having a number of symptoms associated with it. And I heard the phrase and I thought it was great. Most of these symptoms, most of the time, most days, over at least a couple-week window of time, may constitute depression. And as you said, there are symptom checkers out there, and to be able to know, is this, so it's not just feeling irritable or sad a couple of days, or going through a traumatic event and being upset. But if you're experiencing depression, that foundation of your pyramid, all of those other things become more difficult. And when they become more difficult, they feed it and create this virtuous cycle, but in a non-virtuous feeling way, of kind of perpetuating and making it even harder to climb out of.
I truly appreciate that you are one of those who's so transparent, that you remind us that I'm not a certified mental health expert. However, you share your voice on many different platforms in ways that many experts who are the licensed clinical therapists need advocates to do. So, how would you encourage others to become an advocate? How would you encourage them? We love the fur babies, it's okay. How would you encourage someone, a family member, or someone who sees that they've received a diagnosis of depression, or they've received that mental health disability, or they're on medication, or there's something that they know that a medical professional has said to them? What would you advise? What would you recommend? What would you say is the best way for us to use our voices the way that you use yours?
Thank you. And thank you for letting that pass. The best ways that one can engage, first of all, is find out the resources, right? To be an advocate, begin by digging in. Begin by knowing what's there. And I spoke about this in our last conversation about having your toolkit. You know, among that toolkit is that grab and go for your emergency file for the day, not if, but when you encounter life events that include someone going through depression, including potentially you, that you have some of those resources already in the back of your mind. They don't need to be written down somewhere. If they are, great. But have your toolkit. There are so many resources, and we live in a modern time of online, quick as grabbing your phone and looking. You type in depression or depression help, and you can find resources. So I'm so sorry. I'm gonna walk and shush them even as we speak. So in my home, I have not yet been taken out by any mail carriers, so that's the good news. I have great guard. So in having those resources, you know, you're off to a great start. The next thing that you want to do as an advocate is educate yourself through those resources. Go on and start doing some of the reading that it takes. Start talking to people. Don't just rely on what you see in print, right? It isn't good enough to just say, okay, I've read up on this is well and good enough, but begin to talk to people. If you want to be an advocate for people going through mental health issues, start talking to the people who are, you know, find out what it's like, find out what's missing, find out what they need that they wish they had in support. And then, because you're in a better space, sorry for the moving around, because you're in a better space to do it, be the one to pitch in and help to make sure that it happens. So sorry about that. So if you are the one who is energized and motivated, and you have friends or family or others that you know who are going through depression, be able to be a connection for them to resources, because you've already gotten a list out. Some of the resources, I'm just going to jump into that to help folks kind of get a head start, right? Listing out some of these things, and you can replay on video. But in your employee assistance programs, remind people that those exist. Remind people that in health insurance, that most health insurance has mental health benefits, right? And they should look up those benefits, or even just call the customer service number on the back of their card to ask if they don't have the wherewithal and the energy to make all of that research happen. The National Alliance on Mental Health, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, SAMHSA, findsupport.gov, RAINN, RAINN, for survivors of sexual trauma and assault. Um, there are local hospitals who have support groups. And remembering to that depression can be brought on not only by chemical changes in the body, but educating on what might be the causes that are trauma or event induced. So again, assault, grief, divorce, or other kind of relationship breakup, health changes, work events, family events, all of those kinds of things can, and good and bad, can, holidays, right? Season can all result in depression related events and changes for folks. So I would educate about that and get resources and tools to become an advocate. So just become knowledgeable. No, we don't have to be certified to be partners to those who are, to get the people into them. As you said, up to 5% of adults are suffering from depression. Tami, you know, that's 120 million adults worldwide as of last year that were considered clinically depressed, and yet so few seek that help. Become the advocate who gets them into the door to help, offer the ride, whatever it takes.
I love it. See, that's why you're our correspondent on this topic. Again, it's not just about saying that you have the education and all of that by schooling, but when you gain the knowledge and use your voice to put it out there. I know a lot of mental health experts. They're not advocates, they're clinicians. And they receive the people who are dealing with the trauma or whatever the issue is as their line of work and expertise. Advocacy is so important because different individuals now who never thought about it heard Carissa talk about it. And they're noticing things. I want to share just a few facts that I think people miss. And first, thank you for sharing all of the resources you just did as you were jogging with your fur baby.
I'm so
Appreciate
sorry.
it so much. It was awesome. Here's the thing, like, there's always quantifiable reasons according to certain statistics. People aren't just out here, like you say, sad.
Mhm.
There's always factors that add to that. And people often forget that something happened or is part of the story that makes that individual, where what we see is a factor. And we often forget as well that children get depressed and how important it is for parents to be educated, grandparents, teachers, those that surround little people, that it is a real illness and not just something that people are lazy about feeling. If you will, speak to what your knowledge base is, especially on the perception of depression and what we should guard ourselves from doing so that we don't make it worse for somebody else who's living with it.
Perception. So the idea that a person who is going through depression can fix it themselves. We are a people, a culture of I've said before, bootstraps nation, and it's expected that if you just put in enough effort, you can pull yourself out of this. And that's a lie. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. It's a lie that society tells us, that depression can get better if you just get out of the house, if you just get some sunshine, go for a walk, just cheer up. You know, the crazy thing is that that's another lie we're told, right? Or we believe. The happiest appearing people suffer from such deep depression. So don't believe that you know who's going through it. You don't always know. I mean, there are some that are obvious, of course, but to the celebrities that all come to mind, I won't name their names, who we've lost from depression, speak to the shock that we all have felt when we saw their name come across our feed and like, no, them. So I would say, don't think you know who it is. Assume that the people who go through challenges can't always fix themselves. Be available to uplift and support. Be prepared to engage and help even when it feels that you're being pushed back against. If you truly believe someone is going through depression, for God's sake, intervene. Get them help. Intervene. Be the person who galvanizes the friends and the family and reaches out. I know it feels like getting all up in someone's business and you're invading their privacy and you're talking about them behind their back and you might really tick them off. I'd rather have someone be mad at me than dead. And that's happened all too often. We've lost people we've loved because we didn't see the signs, because they appeared happy, or because they appeared fine. And so, that's the challenge. How does one say, well, those shock ones where I didn't see it coming, I think, oh, darn. Well, I'll tell you, I can tell from personal experience with our own son. You spend the rest of your life wondering what I could have done differently. So even with the people that you think are fine, be doing wellness checks. Just talk to the people you love and really look them in the eye and ask them how they're doing and listen. Pause. Don't let it be passing the hall. Hey, how you doing today? Really find out how people are. Pay attention. Watch their habits. Be attentive to the people in your life. And be prepared to intervene for them if you feel that there is a concern, and that includes up to and including. I've had experience in my life where I've had to do relay calls to 911 while I had someone on a line and had to get help. Not everyone will have that life experience. God willing, no one else would have that life experience. But everything from as simple as being attentive to the people you know and observing small differences. Not everything is depression and oh my gosh, they're going to try suicide. But if you notice small changes, be aware before it becomes more. Be concerned about them. Up to that arc of be prepared to intervene if you need.
We don't like to hear and talk about suicide. We don't like to think about the what if, what could happen. I wish I had is a hard place to live. Regret. We all have them in different places, but what if you could have made a difference just by saying something, just by acknowledging a behavior, just by being a resource? Carissa, thank you. Thank you for all you do globally to elevate this cause. You're connected to therapists and mental health professionals. So thank you for the conduit you are. And also as a coach for being that safe space for so many that don't know if they're dealing with mental health illness or what they might be dealing with. But after a conversation, it becomes apparent they need help and get referred for a resource. And I think for me, that's the biggest message for our community, our Power Up family, is to know you have the power to make a difference. Carissa, thank you for joining us again for this transparent conversation, for the jog through the house, and for sharing, even speaking and sharing resources while you were on the move shows the work that you already have in your heart. Thank you so much. Family, we're going to have Miss Riddle back again as we continue to elevate awareness and education. It's too important to turn a blind eye to. And every time we have a conversation, we learn more. And that's what this is all about. So stay tuned. There's more after this.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Do we really believe God loves us, or are we too focused on how much we love God? Deuteronomy 31:8 tells us God will never leave us nor forsake us, meaning he will never leave us physically or neglect us emotionally. He is concerned about our physical, mental, and emotional health. So why are we distracted by short-term financial problems when we serve a long-term, permanent, solutions-oriented God? Did we reach out to him first before we borrowed the money? Did we give him the opportunity to whisper in one of his angels' ears to sponsor us or pay for us? Did we discuss the job offer with him, or did we jump at the opportunity to make an extra $2 an hour doing double the work when he gave us the business idea, wanting to grow and stretch us, fine-tune our self-discipline so we could handle the multi-million-dollar dynasty and be his channel to bless others on their life journey? How quickly are we to say without saying, "I got this, God. Let me call you back"? Then when we realize our limited vision and short-term solution cause some long-term problems. Let us not grow tired of seeking him on every financial decision, and let us never forget that our focus should always be on how much he loves us. So when our back is up against the wall, we know we have a Father who will always cause us to triumph on the other side of the challenge. We need to consider it pure joy to go through God's process on the way to financial blessings rather than to suffer the consequences of a bad financial decision. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
Welcome back, family. What a powerful session thus far. We're not going to stop now. I'm your host, Tami. So glad you're continuing to ride with us. Let's go right into our health front. Today, we're going to address a question we received from a viewer. The viewer sent the question that says, "Tami, I appreciate your show, but I'm lost. I've gone through so much recently and I can't find myself. I just feel broken. Help." We want to thank our viewer for sharing her transparent moment, his transparent moment. They sent this anonymously. So we respect your privacy, but want you to know how important it is to first know that you are not alone. There's so much going on in the world that we all are dealing with issues of brokenness. We all are dealing with whether we feel alone in the moment and can be surrounded by people, or how to move forward when it hurts. So, first, know you're not alone. The other thing to consider is self care tips can be so important when you're in a space. You use the word brokenness. And there are others, I'm pretty sure, who might be feeling something similar. So, did you all know that there's something called broken heart syndrome? There is a disorder that acknowledges that individuals can have a physical response to an powerful emotion. Recently in the news, it was shared how one individual died after being married for 60 years. The very next day, the spouse died. Heard that quite a few times and always thought how that had to be something, some strong type of bond, a very strong love. Having someone in your space for 60 years, maybe breathing with them, sharing emotions, depending on them, that literally within 24 hours, your existence is gone as well. So we understand that in a space of brokenness, it can take a hard impact. There are folks who deal with chest pains when they have a breakup with someone. Did you know that it's even possible to deal with shortness of breath after a breakup, an end of a romance? Someone you believe, you put everything into, something happened, and that whole situation changed. Well, it can have a physical impact on you. It's true that your mind is the computer that makes everything else in your body function. So your brain's capacity and ability to help regulate your heart when it hurts, to help you breathe when you feel like the wind has been knocked out. We want to share a few self-care tips just to help in those moments when you feel like you just need another option. What can I do in this moment? You'll often hear a lot of times how the very first thing medical professionals will say is get exercise. Find some way to put steps in your day, to turn on the radio and boogie a little bit. It actually helps your brain release endorphins of joy. Do you know that watching a funny movie and laughing can help, even if it's laughing through the tears, honey? Also, your diet really does make a difference. You are what you eat. We oftentimes run to that comfort food, that gallon of ice cream. We need to just plow in that whole cheesecake. Whatever we have to do to give us, I don't care. It's not about the, and it adds momentary gratification because of the taste. But when you got to work off those pounds later, you can adapt special ways to eat certain foods that help you in those moments, that might help with those sweet triggers and not hurt you later. Consider speaking with a nutritionist or just doing that wonderful research. Come on, nutritionist food when I'm stressing. Stress habits. There are things you can do to help you in moments of stress that you automatically, you know what, this is what I'm feeling stressed. Okay, I got to get up from here. I have to push away for a minute. I can't do this. I'm going to not, I'm going to let everybody else go to voicemail for the rest of the day. I can't do another call. And figure out what your indicators are so that you have brain power to push for your well being. Consider how prioritizing sleep can make a difference as well. It's just true. When you go to bed stressful and you're tossing and turning, and then you're only getting 4 hours of sleep instead of a good 8, can make a difference. How about focusing on positivity? That practice of gratitude. Okay. For my folks that say, Tammy, you're giving me all this stuff, I want an actual tip. Here we go. I surround myself with words. Everyone who comes into my house knows all over my mirror, I have stickies. In my office, I have stickies. Through my house, you'll see wooden words or pictures of words. You'll see things that help me in my moment when I need to just see something that tells me to do something. I have breathed as a wood, as a wooden word. It's actually carved out. to remind me I have relaxed. I am enough on my mirror. So when I'm dealing with the haters of the day, the folks that are naysayers and really trying to take me there after those meetings, I'm not looking for their validation. I remind myself, come on, sister, you are enough. Positivity, whatever it takes. Come out of those meetings, turn on your favorite song, and just let yourself, that meditation. There are things that you hear about and you never think to practice. Try something new. You might fall in love with it. And then, as grandma said, remember how important it is to count your blessings, name them one by one. I promise you, if you start writing that list, and I do this with folks that I coach that are really in negative space, I say, write down 10 things you're feeling right now that's off. Just write down 10. Oh, you don't have a problem writing down, I'm sick of her, I can't deal with him, I'm short of money, I'm overweight. You can come up with the negative stuff like that. So how about come up with the positive things about yourself and your life like that? Even if you start with 1, 2, 3, and you can't think of anything else, when you go back and look at 1, 2, but I'm here, still have a job. Okay, I just lost that person. They meant everything to me. I have the ability to let the world know about it. There are things you can start doing, those moments of gratitude, the practice of gratitude. Thank you, viewer. You're not alone in feeling stressed and dealing with life, maybe anxiety. Maybe you're dealing with so much pressure. It's hard to articulate to somebody what you're dealing with. I get it. Tap into the resources around you that can help you be great, that can help hold you up. Sometimes you just feel so weak, but there's things that can help hold you up. There are support networks. I learned that when I had my thyroid removed and I was living through that thyroid storm, and I was living through no voice for a year. I started connecting into networks with people who had been through this before because it was new to me. And I started learning and gaining strength from the fact that this person went through it. So it's possible I can make it. Okay. Let me learn more from other folks' stories. Let me see who I can touch base with. Consider a coach, someone who can put that safe space for that time for you to process through it so you can get through it. Remember, the temporary situation you're facing is just that. It's not permanent. Just a few minutes ago is gone. So the more you practice, the more you walk in healing, the more you walk in being healthy, and the more you tap into people who are energized or folks who you have heard success stories from. Use your thumbs in this information age to grow in knowledge. Maybe there's foods that help in that moment when you feel your body shifting. Maybe there's things you should be doing that can help you when it gets hard. How about maybe reminding yourself that you're still great even when it's hard? Family, to our viewer, we thank you for your transparency and for sharing where you are. But I want everybody to know you might not know that individual story, you might not know mine, but we all have one. And we're not limited to where we are. Think about all you've been through. You come through a lot. So draw from your wins and keep moving forward. Again, gratitude to our viewer. You can always send us your emails, your questions. We'll continue to bring experts to help you along your journey. Stay tuned. We're going to come back with our wrap up. There's more after this.
Hey, 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 how you guys doing? This is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner at Empower Mornings. Join me every Monday at noon to work out with Regina on One Network.
Hi guys, it's Tina Wynn, your host of the podcast You See Me. I want you guys to stay encouraged, continue to come out and see me, and most importantly, see yourselves. Remember, the only way that you can truly enjoy life is to see other people so that you can enjoy the beauty of seeing yourself. Come join me Saturdays at 4 on the We Empowered Network. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Power Up. We have had a powerful session today. We started out by sharing global news, our hearts extended to those in Sudan and the family members who are here concerned about their loved one. The need to help support the children who are dealing with malnutrition and unclean water. You can make a difference. Go to unicef.org. They're an advocate. They are the strength. They are on the ground doing work to try to help those in Sudan and around the world dealing with global crises. You can get educated and then share information with those around you so that not only can the information help, but also monetarily, we can make a difference. UNICEF.org can give you real-time information on the crises there, as well as other global efforts as they are pioneered in humanitarian work around this globe. And remember, if it was you, you would want someone to come running with aid. So how about do what you can to help our brothers and sisters in Sudan? We also then had an amazing conversation during Depression Awareness Month with our mental health advocate and coach, Carissa Riddle. She's returned to us many times and will stay a regular with the Power Up as she shares her global resources, information, and perspective. We want you to know depression is real. It is not something you should judge someone on because of what you perceive they are doing or not doing. Mental illness is something that can be just as important, is just as important as your physical health, your financial health, even your social health. How your emotions play into, as Carissa said, is the foundation of you experiencing success with every other area of your life. Thank you, Carissa. Every time she's on, we get educated. And she shared a wealth of resources during her lap through the house. Thank you so much for joining us. What a powerful presence she is and an amazing, compassionate global voice. Depression Awareness Month. Take this opportunity to get educated. Get screened if necessary. And remember that even children can deal with depression. Let's not overlook it and say, go out in the sun, go for a run. You need to cheer up. Let us not judge and try to fix, but be the support. And where necessary, be educated. Carissa reminded us that many employment agencies have EAPs, employee assistance programs, to help when you deal with those moments. And your health insurance also covers mental health services. And for those who may dealing with an insurance lapse, there are free clinics that provide mental health services. So we're not living in excuses. If you're dealing with a trauma or find yourself in a place where you need help, even if it's just the emergency lifeline, we would rather hear your story than read about it in your obituary. Depression is real and we care at the Power Up. We also went to our health front and responded to a viewer question who was feeling broken, feeling like they needed some ideas on what to do because life has a way, as I say, of knocking the wind out of you at times. We shared many self-care tips. Come on, family. Know that you have the power, even if it's just changing your space for a moment, to make a difference in your well being. Self care is self love. We got to stop looking for validation and everything from everybody else if we're not giving it to ourselves first. And that's coming from somebody who was a people pleaser for most of her life. I sacrificed myself for others. Never was introduced to me even caring about me. Can I tell you now, honey, it's a different program. I have learned that the better I am, even in the hard times, the better I can be to others around me. Know that your well being, your health, your life is important. So don't just turn a blind eye to what you might be seeing and what you might be feeling. It's time for us to care about self first. We also want to take this minute during the wrap up to share that this is National Disability Employment Month, highlighted by the President and the U.S. Department of Labor. We want you to be educated on why this is important. We often forget about those who deal with disabilities, those we see in wheelchairs, using walkers, things that we see. And as we discussed earlier, those we might not see. But it's very important to remember that those who are living with physical disabilities around us deserve as much equity and access as everyone else going to your place of employment. You can go to dol.gov to learn more about what the U.S. Department of Labor is sharing as facts, even a toolkit they have developed with information you can share on the World Wide Web, on your different social media platforms to elevate this as a cause. The month is National Disability Employment Month. We want to make sure that we're opening the table to those who are disabled, including them. There's the inclusion, making sure we're considering diversity, not just folk who look and act and sound like me, right? But making sure that everything is equitable, that the same opportunities I have are the same opportunities others have. Okay? Consider dol.org. Get educated on how you can help our disabled neighbors, our friends, family members, even co-workers. As we wrap up, we want to remind you that equity and accessibility are important, not just as you age, definitely as you age. We've got to remember our frail seniors, but also those who live with disabilities. We're at the Power Up are going to remain a strong voice of knowledge to empower you so that you can take the equipment that you're getting and elevate those around, so that it's not just a show, but something you leave with new information and better, so that your caring becomes increased, how you influence those around you. Remember, you have the power to sit on civic associations. Figure out maybe how you can change your local town government, your county, even your state. There are boards of nonprofit entities that are seeking board members so that they gain perspective on how they can help those who they're focused on serving, the homeless, the youth, maybe even our veterans. You can be a voice for change. Take the knowledge and then stand up and do something. Come on, somebody. It's not about just watching world pass and watching life go by. Stop living. Stop existing. There we go. And live and do it on purpose. I need somebody to write that down. Stop existing and live. Make the decision today. I'm going to live out loud. I'm going to be intentional about enjoying this short life that I have. I'm going to be forthcoming and purposeful about community, about finding a way maybe to join my neighborhood civic association. How about those HOAs many of us pay into? How about the neighborhood watch? How we can make sure the kids are safe in our communities. If you love hosting parties, consider planning community events that include those who are different so everyone can enjoy their life as well. You know why living in limits is so important to break? How getting out of boxes that people put you in, how not deciding that you're going to listen to the haters, but you're going to let the hate fuel you to be that much better. You know why it's so important? Because when you leave this earth, that dash between your birth date and your date of transition is what folks have to go on. Wouldn't you love the thumbprint you leave on this planet to be something so amazing? The paintings that have been in you, you just never decided to do. Nobody wants to see my painting. Everybody's painting. But your paintings are so different because nobody has in them what you have in you. Go get your canvas and start today. And then give them away. Go on social media, sell them, donate them to schools. How about those children's hospitals where the babies are fighting cancer? Don't you think looking at your painting in the hallway might help that little person? Family, we're the ones that live in limits. There are senior citizen homes and communities who need our energy. Our aging population deserves for us to pour back into them what they established as trailblazers. They've done their work. How about the holiday seasons are coming? Pick any senior citizen home and decorate it. Have you considered how Thanksgiving Day is coming or different holidays, different religions? What you can do to gather the community or educate folks about your religion and why it's so important. We are diverse for a reason, but our differences are what make us that much more powerful. Family, you are the one in your neighborhood, on your block, in your community. Your kids are in that school so that you can step up and work in PTA or decide to be a counselor or even just go and chaperone that field trip so you can love up some of those babies because you don't know what they're going home to. You have the power. If you've ever just thought about doing it, how about find someone else who's doing it, knocking it out the park, and reach out to them? Copy them. Figure out what you can do to develop some of those habits. And then, now, don't plagiarize, but learn. And then come on and make this planet better because we need you to do what you were hardwired, what you're created to do. You ever noticed how some people are just naturally funny? There are some folks that just have voices that can sing, and I can just close my eyes and listen to them sing all day. There are some individuals who are orators and they have ways of putting words together that just make you feel that much better. Family, don't discount your worth and give yourself permission to live, laugh, and love. We at the Power Up want to end our show, as always, with our gratitude to the military and our veterans who have served. Thank you for protecting our rights. Also, to those on the front line who put your life in harm's way just so that we can be better, our 911 responders and those who are in the medical field who have trailblazed to help advance healthcare. We thank you, and we'll see you next time.